Pop Metal Show.
Welcome back. It's Hop Metal Show. It's Hop.
String.
I jumped a little gun on
Yeah,
string here.
and I'm still trying to clean up my beer mouth. Hop shook my beer up.
No, I didn't do that.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Anyway.
All right, so we going back to the year
2000. That's why I had to make sure. I was like, I know I've got a shirt.
and Fred said we need to do 87. I think is what he's like. Y'all
That might be
do
a hard.
87.
That'd be a hard one.
There's some hard years there. We did that. We did the bracket on 89. I know how rough that one was.
Yeah, anything from like
That
what?
sweet spot right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a hard. one.
So
But that's probably that. We need to get back into doing more of these.
Yeah.
When you said this, I was like, man, it's been a while since we've done one of these.
well, 2000 was just a random number that
And-
we just come up with.
But after you said it, I was like, really? What all came out that? And I was like, holy shit! I didn't realize what all came out that year.
And when I mentioned it, she
I'm
should have
horrible
this ready.
with what comes out when and
Well, I
keeping
mean,
time frames
When
and
you
all
get
that.
in our age,
I don't even have that excuse anymore. I just memory sucks.
I'm actually looking.
We need Randy. Where's Randy at? We need him in here.
Yeah, and
He can-
Jerry.
and
Jerry's
Jerry,
pretty
yeah,
good
Jerry
at
too.
numbers too.
Yeah.
But I posted on Facebook, and that's what I'm looking for.
All right. I'll take a little.
But we did do Facebook to see what everybody's picks were on. Which I can't even find it.
Jeopardy music playing right now.
Yeah, this is all for wasting all this time.
That's all right. Well, I'll throw some shit out here. So when he mentioned doing this, I was like, wow, what all came out that year? And then I started rolling through. I printed off like a list of all the stuff that came out. And I was like, man, I'm going to have a hard time picking out 5 albums off of this. And then after like I really scrolled through the list, I'm like, wow, there was like a couple. Like I went to a lot of concerts during this year. Ozfest being one of them. But then like one of my two of my picks from my top 5 actually watched a concert. Well, I went to the concert and they were playing together. And the third band had an album out that year also. And I was telling my wife that, when I was going through all these bands, I was like, man, I didn't realize, like, I went to a lot of shows. And I was like, man, I went to see them. I saw them. So, yeah. And I don't know if you realized, because we probably went to a lot. Well, I know handful that you didn't, but I know there was probably quite a few of them that we did go to that year.
Yeah, I don't even.
I know we went to Ozfest together. But then there was like BLS had an album out then. I'm sure we went to see them.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I know we did because we saw them at Main Street.
That was
That was Stronger Than Death. So, and that was the year that was the year that I was DJing XJM, and I got him down there, and you took Nick to the store or to the Hojo, and I took Zach to the store. No, it's a parking lot now. So,
All right, so I found it. Like usual, I'm just gonna.
You want to pass the phone over to me?
All Danny did was like it.
What?
He didn't even write nothing.
Are you
Come on,
passing it
Danny.
to me? No, okay.
Yeah. Come on, Danny. You guys. Come on. You gotta do better, Danny.
Really, Danny? Like the man that picks 5,
Yeah.
6 different picks.
Well, Ray, he liked.
Ray loaded us up. Ray had some good stuff coming out there.
But Ray, man, he's the all-time post stuff. He's a music. It's no wonder we got along good in film.
Well, exactly. You know what? Amanda. I'm going to start with Amanda, and then I'm going to go back to Ray just because her pick came out, and we talked about this on our last video for the best of the worst, and I mentioned that this was on a bunch of. I didn't mention this part of it, but I went and looked at other lists just to see what other people were picking, and this made a lot of lists,
Oh,
and I don't
going
understand
down.
why.
It's going down through there.
Oh, good. I'm glad this album gets some love. Hybrid Theory. Thank you,
We know
Amanda.
Amanda. She's all about Linkin Park.
Yeah, well, and as well as a lot of other ones.
Kind of like they are Def Leppard. It's probably our second favorite band.
Well, good. That made me happy, but like I said, you said there were some other ones down
there's a
here.
couple more
So
down
anyway, let's get back to Ray. All right, so he says, in no particular order, Pantera reinvented steel, Dio's Magica, Iron Maiden's Brave New World, AC/DC's Stiff Upper Lip, Disturbed the Sickness, Godsmack Awake, Motley Crue's New Tattoo was a good album. And so then Tracy Robinson, Chocolate Starfish, and Hot Dog Flavor Water, which was another album that was on a lot of lists of shitty albums, and Disturbed the Sickness and Kitty's Spit.
Yeah, what did she put? Just kidding for the chocolate starfish.
Oh, yeah, I see that now. But that was on a lot of lists.
Yeah.
I see that just came now. And
What did
I'm
she-
just
I
trying to read
forget
through
what
the emojis.
What is she?
Disturbed,
Disturbed.
Sickness, and Kitty Spit, which Kitty Spit was a top contender, but it just didn't make my list. Godsmack Awake from Robert Ford. Josh Winnington says Hybrid Theory, another young person. Mike McKay, Had to Look Back, Forgot a Bunch, Linkin Park, there you go. Disturbed, Pantera, AC/DC, probably a couple more, which that was a hard year to pick because there was a shit
I
pile
was
of albums.
surprised. I was really surprised when I went through that year.
So apparently he went back and looked because then he added on BLS and Iron Maiden. BLS was Stronger Than Death. We haven't mentioned that one yet. BLS, Wes says BLS may be only new album I bought in 2000. John Page says Deftones, White Pony. Brian Weaver, Stronger Than Death, BLS. Disturbed. Wow, Jerry said Disturbed. Yeah, that was a shocker. The Sickness, obviously. And then Kitty Spit from Jerry's also. Tony Gamble says Kitty's Spit. And David Jackson, Skillet's Awake. So, again, I think he was on our last post that we mentioned.
So
and
you got a new
a different, because that was an album.
new member of the family.
And that was an album that wasn't mentioned previously. So there was a lot of duplicates,
But
and for good reason. Because
Kitty was like the one.
and
that,
you know, when they came out, I latched onto that album, but I don't know if it was because of the girl. I mean, it wasn't
I think
like
it's-
that they were
they
the
were
first girl
pioneers,
band, but I think in their style, because they were a little bit different than a lot of the other bands, but I latched onto that like that. I mean,
they are like the runaways of that style of music,
yeah, I would agree with
or
that.
what the runaways
Amazing.
were to
for their era, I guess you would say.
They are pioneers.
Yeah, and still putting music out.
Yeah.
So
I
good
think
for
they
them.
even got a documentary that's on maybe Amazon or one of them.
Seems like I do remember seeing that. Maybe it might be Amazon. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I don't even think it's. I think it's if you got Prime. I think you can watch it. I don't even think.
I'll
It's,
have to look that up again because I do remember seeing that on something, but for whatever reason, I hadn't watched it yet, and there was something that I had to watch in front of it. So anyway,
oh, why don't I go with this too? So, we had a couple that just contacted me. And Shauna picked Dead Forever, Best of Motorhead. And Fred is Stronger Than Death.
good pick.
And Jason, Old J,
Oh, JJ.
Hybrid Theory.
for him.
He said, man, there's nothing even close.
I tell you what, man, that's a solid album.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's more new metal style, and a lot of people
it was radio
want
friendly.
to hate on the new metal stuff. But even like Limp Bizkit, I mean, during the early portion of it, I still liked it then. But you know, a lot of people that's why they were hating on it because it was not metal; it was something different. But it was still good.
So you me go ahead and start off?
You started.
All right, coming in first, Papa Roach, Infest. And I was telling String, because I tried to go back and listen to these. Now I now officially know why Jacoby had to have throat surgery. Because Last Resort. I mean, he's screaming at the end of
Well, that was their very first
yeah.
album, but was there anything that actually before they became big? I mean, before that album, was there like
I
anything
think they might have had a little
like an EP or
like
something?
an indie album, but that's. I mean, I remember. I mean, Love he'll testify to this because I had that house down in Timberville, and he was my roommate. I remember watching this video and thinking, for Last Resort, they was on them checkerboards that lit up, and I just remember that MTV. That's when they were still playing videos, and I remember that video got a lot of airplay. And it
Oh
grew
yeah.
on me.
Well, you know that song, it hit hard and it
Yeah.
hit fast. I mean, it's a damn good song, and a good lyrical content to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
But it's like when I looked at my picks, and I meant to tell you this too. I hadn't seen you since I thought about this. There was because the music we grew up on in the '80s was majority of it was the good life.
Yeah.
You know, everything was big everything.
big hair,
Just
big
yeah,
sound.
Not only the hair, the big it was big
Yeah.
stages.
Yeah.
And then we got to grunge where it like
Shit
scaled
went
down
south. Like
majorly.
you made it or you didn't.
But
You hung through it or.
2000, we were some angry people.
But, and it's
And-
like a rinse and recycle type of thing. I mean, you look, there was a lot of anger in the early punk scene, and that's
Yeah.
what created the whole punk scene. You had that angry.
Angry and shitty relationships,
Mm-hmm.
shitty upbringings, because Broken Home. I mean, that's pretty much that. Those titles is what the song's about. I mean, Broken Home for Papa Roach. But, I look back on, a lot of albums I picked, and there's a lot of. It's not the happy drink beer, get
No,
laid,
no.
go to the strip club, and it's no more of that. We're
Well-
talking about our upbringing now.
And
life
honestly,
sucks.
when I was going through this list, there's like Poison had an album.
Yeah, I mean there was.
There's like a handful of more.
I mean, Motley Crue did New Tattoo,
And Alice Cooper. I mean, you had some throwback. I don't want to say
but shit,
throwback,
even
but
Alice Cooper was writing about Brutal Planet, how shitty the world was.
but then you look at some of these other albums. I mean, there's a lot of shit that came out that was I don't want to say angry music, but more on the heavier side.
Yeah.
There's a lot of heavy stuff came out that year. There was a lot of stuff, man. I couldn't remember all that stuff. Well, there are a lot. Some of those bands I still don't know of them. But anyway, so man, these are probably going to put this one at number 5. I took my shirt off earlier. I should have left it on, so at least for this part
you
of it.
need this 2000 though.
I do. That's the same
that's
album.
true.
That's the same album that this was from. Sentenced, Crimson. And I don't even remember where I heard this song first from, but man, I heard it. Killing Me, Killing You. That was the name of the song that came out that I heard off of this album. And I was like, oh, it's not a heavy song by any means, but it's kind of more of a mellow song, but it just hit me. I was like, man, this is a killer song. And then, so when I bought the album, and I was like, oh my God, like, my wife even likes this album. And there's like several songs on here, like, right up there with Killing Me, Killing You. And that was when I mentioned earlier about when I seen a couple of these bands. This was one of the bands that I seen. And I'm trying to look and make sure. Because I can't mention the other one because that's to come later. But this was one of the other bands. And then, where the hell's that? Because I don't know which album was. Dark Tranquillity opened up this show and they were on their Haven album tour, part of it. And so Crimson, or the Sentence, was the second band, and with this album, Crimson. So that's my number 5.
Never even heard of them.
And they're not together anymore. So
Oh, I can't.
they split up years ago, and they had their final album came out and was called the Funeral Album. That was the death of their.
That's a cool name for an album.
Yeah,
It's
I
gonna
thought
be
so
the
too.
last one.
Yeah.
All right, so my next one on the list, this was actually a shelved album that was supposed to come out earlier, and it didn't. And it goes against what I was saying a while ago about, everybody was angry. Everybody was angry
This is
except for
definitely
Poison.
nothing, yeah.
They weren't angry right
They,
now.
yeah, they
But
weren't angry.
I guess it was shelved. It was the album that was supposed to come out after Native Tongue.
And I know that album, I think it didn't get a lot of love,
No.
but it was not a bad album.
It's a good album.
Yeah, it was not a bad album.
And if anybody wonders what, they always said, Slash was who Brett wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But Bobby and Ricky wanted CeCe because he was more Flash. And Brett wanted Slash because he was real bluesy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to know what Brett sounds like with bluesy music, that's the album to listen to.
Blue Saraceno.
Yeah, because there is no Eddie Van Halen fretboard running. It's bluesy,
Yeah, no laying on your back, crawling around,
Yeah.
rolling around, being crazy.
annoying.
Annoying.
It's just, it's.
Because if you've seen Poison live, you can attest that CC gets a little annoying.
And I went back and listened to the album, and every time I listen to it, I like it better. Because
I haven't heard it in years, and it's in my collection. I just haven't listened to it in years.
I think it's just as good as anything else they released. And for that time era to put that out there, it's pretty incredible too, because that definitely wasn't what was going on in 2000.
No.
Poison was not going on in 2000.
No.
But that's what's coming in right there is Poison's Crack Smile. Because the other powerful people, don't even waste your time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So when I wrote these down, I didn't really particularly write them down in any order. So while you was telling your story there, I was like, hurry up, writing my numbers down. And so I'm actually going from bottom up to my number one. So a band we both feel strongly about, Black Label, Stronger Than Death.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen the man I don't know how many times.
God, back
Always
then,
killer. And I definitely like this album better after hearing this album, after Sonic Brew, and how, I love the songs on Sonic Brew, but the distortion, and it's just so muddy, and the production part of it is just horrible.
Even the
remix, I was really hoping it was going to fix it, but it didn't. If it was cleaned up a lot and had less distortion to it, yeah, I think that album. Not that the album sucks, because it's a damn good album. The songs are great.
The gems, it's got a lot of gems on it.
But it's just the sound of the songs, not. It's more the production, like I said. But yeah, Stronger Than Death, man. And when I was going down through here and some of these, I was looking up the songs on them, because some of them I was like, I don't remember what all came, what got released, and I was like, holy shit!
When you listen to it way back, that's the same way I was.
It's I forgot this was on there, and then I forgot this song was on there, and then plus you throw the fact that we saw them, and that was the same time that I got to meet Zach, and you took Nick somewhere, I took Zach, and I did my interview with him.
We got to hang out with him Main Street.
Yeah, that's lasting memories that just right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like you. And people say production don't matter. You listen to a lot of music, you get it.
Mm-hmm.
You get production is a big deal. All the producing, mixing.
It makes a difference.